Good morning, Mr. Crump. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, Brad. It's an honor to be with you.
Yes, man, I appreciate you joining. You are our very first Code M podcast that we're doing. We're launching this in December of 2025. And so to go with the magazine, we're launching the Code M podcast because, when I interview people, I can only add about four quotes in an article out of a half an hour interview. And so this gives people an opportunity to see the whole interview that goes with the magazine. So I thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Brad, and continue to use your voice and your platform to make a difference more than ever right now. We need you, brother.
Man, we need you. And so, I just want to let our audience know that you have agreed to become our 2025 Man of the Year. And we're so honored by you accepting that honor because this is a special time, Ben. It's a special time. And I'm watching you go around the country. I'm watching what's happening in the White House. I'm watching how we respond to it. And I don't want black people to become numb to adversity. And I feel like we're at a precipice right now where, we're losing heroes. We're attacking each other more than ever. If you look at social media, black marriage is under attack. What's your stance right now on what we need to do?
Well, we need to lean to the lessons of our ancestors. Two things, Brad. Number one, when this regime first took power, when the administration first started, a little black woman, about 65, 70 years old, said, Attorney Crump, you have a lot of influence. People listen to you when you go around the country speaking. When you talk to our people, I want you to remind them that black people have been through way too many thunderstorms to worry about a few raindrops coming from this administration. She said, you tell our black people we gonna be all right. And I love that, Brad, because she didn't have a defeatist mentality, and we can't afford to have a
Right.
defeatist mentality. Now, it's gonna be challenging. There are gonna be some struggles. Don't get me wrong. This administration over the next 3 years, if the first year is an example of what we have in store, it's going to be some struggles.
Right.
But we must remember what Frederick Douglass said. I mean, it was way worse times than we're living through now. I mean, we were in cotton fields, being lynched, the women being raped, the children being kidnapped, and yet Frederick Douglass would tell everybody who would listen. Now, remember, without struggle,
Hmm.
there can be no progress. I mean, he was telling them that, you can't get depressed because the struggle. You can't get discouraged because the struggle. If anything, we got to celebrate the struggle because as long as we're in the struggle, that means our black children have a better chance at a better future tomorrow.
Right.
And he said, you know, every day we get up and we refuse to surrender. Every day we get up and we refuse to wave the white flag. Every day we get up and we are ready to fight again. He said that means every day we have a better chance for
Yeah.
the future. So what I say to the Code M audience is we can't be discouraged by the struggle. Every morning we wake up, we got to celebrate the struggle. We got to run to the front line, ready to fight again, to where the white supremacists say, I'd be damned. They got up again, ready to fight.
Right. Right. So let me ask you because we also live in a time where I feel like our leaders are under attack. Anybody, especially in the black community, man, our heroes, our leaders, anybody of influence, somehow, we either come for them, they come for us. You know, when I told people I was going to interview you, some of the first questions they had is, are you a defense attorney or are you a civil rights attorney? What do you consider yourself to be?
I think every kind of attorney is a
Okay.
civil rights attorney. Make no mistake about it, y'all. Civil rights is the basic rights for people in America. I ain't talking about nothing extravagant. I'm just talking about the constitutional rights that are promised to every citizen.
Right.
So whether it's a criminal matter, we're defending your liberty, or it's a wrongful death matter or mass tort, where we're defending your rights to the Seventh Amendment because you've been wronged. That's what we are. all of us are civil rights lawyers. And right now, I have a book coming out that
Okay.
is a, black version of a Perry Mason, of Ben Matlock, because
Okay.
we have to inspire the next generation of civil rights lawyers. Because now more than ever, we need civil rights lawyers to go fight for our people.
So, I'm glad that you brought up the whole civil rights thing. Because if you take a look at American law, and you see law schools, you see law firms, and you even see companies that support attorneys always talking about the rule of law. The rule of law. We follow the rule of law. But, for black people, it doesn't apply to us. So the oxymoron is that they preach rule of law, but then when you see a black man in there, we don't get treated fairly. Even by today's standards, the rule of law is not applied to blacks. So, first of all, what is going on with that? And then how do we address that problem?
You know, Man, that's a perfect setup for my book that's coming out in February, Worse Than a Lie. It
Okay.
talks about that very thing, and obviously, and this is a fiction book. It's like a John Grisham, a Lincoln lawyer, uh, you know,
I can't wait to see it. Read it.
yeah, yes. But my first book was Open Season, the legalized genocide of colored people,
Right.
where we talked about how they used the very law that was meant to protect us, they use it to kill us.
Mm.
And so you're right. We have to understand that this rule of law has been used as oppressive. But we have to make the law be an instrument for good, not a weapon for evil and oppression, and with the right advocates. And we have examples of them where there has been Charles Hamilton Houston and Thurgood Marshall using the law as an instrument for good.
Right.
Johnny Cochran, Barack Obama, these great lawyers who used the law as an instrument for good. So there is a precedent there of how we make the law work in our favor. But make no mistake about it. Right now, this administration and the
Yeah.
judges they appointed, they have made it increasingly difficult for us to be able to use the law to our benefit. So we have to make sure that we are strategic and that we are working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, but Ben, when you take a look at how judges are ruling, how the law is being applied, what armor do you have if you're going into a rigged environment where the judge is that typically the judge was free of influence, right? But right now it feels like even the judge has influence placed upon him to make decisions. So what is your recourse? What's the plan of attack when you go into a courtroom today?
Again, we lean on the lessons from our ancestors. Thurgood Marshall had way worse judges, but
That's
you
true,
kept
probably true.
making the record. I just won a case last week for $13 million against the city of Houston Police Department for going double the speed in a 35-mile residential area, killing this 75-year-old black man the day after Christmas in 2021.
Oh wow.
And that speed cases and chase cases have pretty much become like the dinosaur since the Supreme Court ruled 25 years ago, unless you can prove that it is the city's custom and policy, then you can't hold them accountable. Yeah, you can sue the police, but they ain't got no money.
Right.
But we had a Reagan Republican judge who, after we demonstrated to him that they had 4 fatalities in a 15-month period where Houston police officers were speeding,
Mm-hmm.
not following the safety rules. And so this Republican judge allowed it to be a factual issue that could be presented for the jury. And so that was not just about intellect, but it was about courage to go and take on the fights. We have to be willing to fight the fights that others are afraid to fight. We have to be willing to say the things that others are afraid to say. We have to be willing to do the things that others are afraid to do. That's how we
Yeah.
overcome all these judges. That's what Thurgood Marshall did. That's what Constant Baker Motley did.
Right.
That's what Martin Luther King and John Lewis were doing. They were challenging the system. And nothing beats a failure but a demand.
And I remember, we talk from time to time, and I don't know if you remember this, but you also told me if you're going to sit, the way black people can help is go sit on jury duty. When you have jury duty, don't avoid it. Because 9 times out of 10, if you go serve on jury duty, you're probably going to have a case with your peer, another black person, that you're going to go preside over. So we need to encourage black people, when jury duty comes up, you need to go serve. Right?
Absolutely. I had 11 whites and 1 black on this jury in Houston, and boy, it's hard trying to convince people who don't understand the culture, who doesn't understand our life experiences, that we matter.
Wow.
That our lives matter and our culture matter.
Wow. That's amazing. So, again, and I want to go back to leaders for a second. There has to be a lot of pressure on you right now from the country. Everything that I just saw you were in Massillon, Ohio with the kids that got pepper sprayed. And when I saw that, I even posted that on my Facebook page because I didn't know that you were down in Massillon helping those people.
Yeah, there's so many injustices, and when they show our children the injustice, we have to be quick to stand up, because if our children don't see us willing to fight against the racism and the discrimination and the oppression, then they think that, well, maybe our black lives don't matter.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I want to make it clear to my daughter and all our black children, no, we believe in you and your future so much that we're willing to sacrifice for you. We're willing to fight for you. And if need be, our children got to understand we're willing to die for them. That's how much we believe in their future. And so leaders have to lead now. We have to have the courage of our convictions, like Dr. King said, when the coward asked the question, is it safe? Expediency asked the question, is it politically correct?
Right.
He said that vanity asked, is it popular? But our conscience asked us, is it right?
Mm-hmm.
And there comes a time when we must do the right thing. And even when it's unpopular, even when it's not safe, but you do the right thing because our children are watching, and
right.
They gotta know that they are worth the fight. And so that fight, it's just asinine. They only pepper spray the black football team, and don't pepper spray the white football team, even though they seem to be the instigators.
Right.
We have to stand up against this obvious bigotry.
I love what you're saying about the whole idea. If they don't see examples of us fighting for ourselves, what does that say to our whole people as a whole? So Ben, how do you choose cases? You probably have so many come before you, from something as tragic as death down to, and I'm not saying pepper spraying is not important, but how do you make a decision on what case you take and what case you don't take?
I will tell you, Brad, since I'm referred to as Black America's Attorney General.
Yes, sir.
We literally have black people from all walks of life calling us constantly. We get about 50,000 calls a month, and we could probably take about 0.05% of those calls, because there's so many injustices being inflicted on our people right now. So I try to again go back to what Thurgood Marshall, taught us when he said the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, obviously in the 40s and 50s, were getting calls and letters from everywhere because they were killing and lynching black people and wrongfully convicting us and falsely accusing us. He said, you try to look at cases, number one, first,
okay,
that will help as much justice for the greatest society as possible,
Okay.
aka George Floyd. You
Okay.
do that case, it affect the greater society, you know. And then he said, or you look at cases that shock your conscience, like Breonna Taylor. I
Right.
mean, a sister just home in her own home, minding her business when they kick in the front door, executing an unnecessary, unjustifiable, and an unconstitutional no-knock warrant.
Right.
And they left her body mutilated with 8 bullet holes while she was practically naked
Right.
in her nightgown in the sanctity of her own home. If our women can't be safe in their own homes, where can they be safe at? So it's those type of things. Henrietta Lacks, they're making a movie about our work with the Henrietta Lacks case. You remember Oprah Winfrey made
Yes,
a
I do.
movie
Yes.
about the mortal cell of Henrietta Lacks. But the writer of that book said the family would never recover. And when they called me and, laid out the facts, and they said, we can't get nobody to take the case. And you got to think, these pharmaceutical companies have made billions upon billions upon billions of dollars off of their grandmother's sales. But
Now, I
yet they
want
have
you,
made
if you wouldn't
real,
mind. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and the family had never made one red penny until we filed that lawsuit and we won. Now we have 4 pharmaceutical companies that have compensated the family, and I plan on suing every pharmaceutical company that's made over $100 billion for this family.
I want you. Let's go deeper on that because I think a lot of people don't remember that case and why it's so important because this impacts the world. So, can you just go into a little bit more detail on who she was and her impact on society?
Certainly, Henrietta Lacks was a beautiful black woman who was not illiterate, not irrelevant, and not insignificant, even though the history books will try to make you think that of her.
Mm-hmm.
She she lived at a time when medical racism ran rampant
Was that his worst?
across America.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the Tuskegee syphilis experiment in Alabama where they injected black men with syphilis to test the untreated syphilis in the human body, even though they had a cure.
Right.
This was the United States government doing this. And then you had in Mississippi and multiple states in the South where they were doing the Mississippi appendectomy,
Mm-hmm.
where black women would go in for routine medical
Procedures.
treatment
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
procedures and end up being sterilized and their tubes being tied and they couldn't have children anymore. And then up in Baltimore, Maryland, Johns Hopkins, the leading medical research center in the country at the time, was engaging in medical racism where they were trying to see if a human cell could exist outside the human body. And I mean, they were just butchering black people, experimenting with black people. When we were doing our research for the case, we talked to older black people, Brad, and they said they were told by their parents, don't be caught outside Johns Hopkins Hospital and University at nighttime because they'll snatch you up. They'll go butcher you and kill you and experiment on your body. They were the original body snatchers.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so you had Henrietta Lacks, this black woman, mother of 4 children, wife, go in for this routine procedure, early stages of cancer, completely treatable. But they never sought to treat her. They went in and they put radiation rods in her female organs and they cut out the good tissue in her female organ and they cut out the bad tissue in her the cancerous tissue.
Right.
And then they just send her home the next day. And you know, radiation is devastating to the body. That's why you have chemotherapy because they want to try to reduce the size of the tumor so small till you can use the least amount of radiation because of the harm that it has on the body. It's fatal potential if you use too much radiation.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't care about that for black people. They just put the radiation in there and sent her home. And her family talked about how she would cry out in pain in the middle of the night from the effects of the radiation. And she lived for 8 months and then died. But it's almost biblical, Brad, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because, her gift to the world was so miraculous because she became the first human being in the course of human history where her cells not only could survive outside the human body, but they regenerated every 24 hours. And so her cells for the last 60 years have been used as the cornerstone for every modern medical advancement, every vaccine, every thing you could think of, whether it's COVID or it's AIDS or it's cancer. It's all been the immortal cells of Henrietta Lacks that just keep regenerating and regenerating. And so when we sued them, they said Crump must be crazy. How do you think he's going to get around the statute of limitations
Right.
when, it's normally 3 years in Maryland. If you ain't brought your lawsuit, you can never bring it. Well, we talking about 1951. We brought this lawsuit in 2021. And so I told the judge, I get it, Judge, that we can't recover a percentage of the profits from any of these pharmaceutical corporations from 1951 to 2018 because our statute of limitations
Has expired, right.
But what we have articulated in this courtroom today, Your Honor, is that Henrietta Lacks is unprecedented. Everything about her is unprecedented. And just like we said, every 24 hours, her cells regenerate. Well, we don't expect anything from 2018, but those cells that regenerated yesterday, Judge, we suing for a percentage of profit from all of that for this black family.
Right.
And, we serve a God that sit high and look low, and the federal judge from the Eastern District of Maryland agreed with us, and now we're finally starting to get compensation, some form of reparations for this black family. And that's what I mean when I say you got to be courageous enough to take on the fight. Go argue things that ain't being argued, say things that ain't being said. That's how we tear down this racist justice system.
Man, I love that because you found a way when there wasn't one. You got the statute of limitations sitting there in front of you, and you still took the case, you still took it to court, and you invented a way to be prosperous in that for her family, for her downline, because, of course, it's probably her great-grandkids that will benefit from this. But society overall will benefit from this because you're setting new precedents in the court system. So as we fight for rule of law, this precedent now is set. So as another black person, right, GIF or light bulb or whatever, if you fight for these injustices from the past, now we've invented a way for them to be relevant today. So Ben, man, I love talking to you. I can't wait to talk to you more. I know we said we get you out of here in a certain amount of time, so I will give you your day back. Happy Thanksgiving to you, bro. And again, Ben Crump is our 2025 Man of the Year, and we enjoy for you to come on out and celebrate our Man of the Year celebration with him on Friday, December 5th, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, and I'll say this as we close out. Brad, thank you. Thank Code M. Right now, we need to speak truth to power. And in particular, I'll say on this Thanksgiving, I did a video that since went viral now.
Okay.
Simply saying this here. This is an opportunity, this Thanksgiving and beyond, for our people to send a powerful message. Because when black people stop spending, America starts to listen.
Yes.
Our black dollars speak louder than any of their excuses. And so Let's don't support these corporations that don't support our communities. All these corporations that don't support diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's don't spend our black dollars if they don't respect our black dignity. Let's go support our black businesses. Together, we can do this as long as we stay united and disciplined. If from Black Friday through Cyber Monday all the way to December the 3rd, if we just go 5 days
Yes. Yes.
without letting our black dollars go impact their bottom line, it will make a world of difference.
And I see that that's taken hold and has gone viral. So I expect to see some results from that campaign, because I'm starting to see it be repeated from normal people. It's gone viral. You see other people talking about it. So I'm excited for that, man. And again, I can't wait to see you. And I'm gonna let you go with that. So Ben, good talking to you, and we will see you this Friday.
All right, brother.
All
God
right.
bless.
Yes, sir.